Welcome to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. And Paul is President and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, how are you today?
Great, Cynthia.
It's so good to see you.
I love it. I love being in the studio with you. You're so fantastic to work with, and we have so much fun on this show.
Oh, well, thank you for taking the time to come in, because I know how very busy you are, so it just means a lot to have you here, and I love working with you as well. Again, I'm learning as you're speaking, so it's really a win-win situation for me.
That's the way all business should be, right? My grandfather raised me with that thought in mind, and all business should be a win-win. So perfect. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, right?
Absolutely. Well, Paul, let me ask you a question, because again, I know that you have been so extraordinarily busy. What are you seeing from your clients right now? What kind of questions do they have for you? Is there anything that's coming to mind more so than anything else for most of them right now?
Yeah, I'd say that everyone's really uneasy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah, I would say that the fear mongering and the fear tactics of the media and of this nation right now, and the polarity of political parties and the social unrest and the misinformed media, people are just right now. People are real worried. They're real concerned about a lot.
Yeah.
The good thing is, we just have to simply remind them when they call, yes, Mr. Smith, you're right. There's a lot going on. And believe me, this election's there's no telling what's going to occur from it. And we've got a lot unfolding over the next year. Mm-hmm. And yes, we're in some very big market and economic times. But guess what? We built your retirement plan to weather the storm. Mm-hmm. We've built you for the tough times, not just for the good times, but for the tough times. When the tide goes out, you'll be fine. Okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So before you get upset and you start missing sleep over this, or you start letting it affect your health, you go back in there and recollect, go back through your binder and your book that we created you when we first built your retirement planning, and go revisit your income plans there, your strategy, some of that. And if you'll walk back through that, it's okay. It happens to every client, because over time, they forget to forget a little. They start to forget a little bit and forget what all they did and what went on and what took place. And every once in a while, they just need that refresh up, go back and review what we had done and what we put in place. And then, oh, that's right. I'm good. I'm built to weather the storm. Roberts Wealth Management's got my back. I'm in good shape to go forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's all about providing that incredible component of peace of mind, because everyone is looking for that. Everyone wants that, especially when they're approaching retirement. So I think we should talk about the fact that when someone is pulling their statements out of the mail, Paul, that's not a retirement plan. Those are just statements, correct?
Yes.
There's a difference between having that in the mail versus what you can do for someone.
Yes, we hear it all the time. People tell us a lot of the time, people in the public who don't know who we are or not our clients say, I've got a portfolio. And then I'm like, well, that's good. That's a great first step, is having a portfolio, but do you have a retirement plan? Mm. And I've got an advisor, and he's got me. I've got some stocks and I got some bonds. Well, that's good, but that's just the portfolio part. That's not a retirement plan. That's the first step. Good for you for saving money and getting it invested, but there's a lot more that goes into this if you want to retire right or create a successful retirement.
Sure.
All those aspects of everything we talk about on the show and on the radio show all the time, your Social Security, your income planning, your tax planning, navigating market volatility, navigating market risk, trying to minimize those losses when the market does go awry or see a severe correction, trying to minimize the effects of taxation on your family, trying to minimize the effects of taxation during inheritance, and creating proper legacy planning, creating proper estate planning to protect you and your family and your nest egg, to protect you from long-term care. Long-term care is one of the most overlooked ones out there right now. We actually did a workshop last week, and we were talking about this, and I had a little fun with the audience. I said, well, what about long-term care? And I'm all right there. So how many of you think you need long-term care? There was 30 people there, and only one of them raised their hand that they thought they needed long-term care. The other 29 didn't. And I said, well, actually the national statistic is that 50% of you, 1 out of every 2 of you in this room, will end up needing long-term care during some time during your lifetime. And then all of a sudden the faces started getting a little more sad, and everybody starts to get that look over their face. And so I got to bring it a little bit and have a little more fun, lively it up. So I said, you know what that means? And everybody looking at the workshop looked at me. I said, but this is what it means. Turn to the person to your right and tell them, I'm sorry you're going to the nursing home one day. everybody in the room turned to each other and told each other they were going to the nursing home, because it's not me, right? Everybody's got that mentality. It's not me.
Absolutely.
I'm not going. It must be you who's going, because it's not me. But it's a reality that we don't like facing or we don't like discussing, but we need to discuss and we need to look at what will you do if you end up there one day. You know, the national statistic says not only will 1 out of every 2 people end up there, but the big statistic that I think people dismiss and why they don't do enough adequate estate planning and long-term care planning is that 80% of the health expenses that you accrue during your entire lifetime are all accrued in the last 30 days of life. So you just think about that for a minute. If you lived for 80 years, how much did you accrue in healthcare expenses over an 80-year period? A whole lot, right?
Yeah.
Well, 80% of that is going to accrue in the last month. Do you know how many families that breaks right at the end?
Wow.
How much turmoil that creates, how many problems that creates with relationships inside of families. I've seen so many times where siblings start having problems, relationship problems over finances, and it's all over finances because they're all stressed out because mom and dad are in this situation and they can't afford it, and they're being beat up by the nursing home and the hospital. You know, a little bit of proper, adequate planning up front, you avoid ever being in that situation.
Absolutely.
You never put your family or your loved ones in that position, and you're never vulnerable to be in that situation.
Sure.
I mean, it's a good idea to sit down and talk with somebody and get the plans in place. I'd say so, right?
It's all about proper planning, because a lot of people think that Medicare is going to cover all of their expenses, and that's not true. It's
Simply
not going to cover that for your long-term care needs. So again, like we've talked about in the past, it's so important to have all of those pieces in the puzzle, like we've spoken about in different shows, so that you have a cohesive plan that matches the top of the box. Nothing's missing.
There's a lot more than just having a portfolio to retirement planning. If you haven't touched on all these subjects that we're discussing, then you don't have a full retirement plan. And we need to look at what we can do to help you get one.
And it's not that difficult to do. All it really is about making a phone call and coming in and sitting with you, a member of your team, and actually taking the time to put that plan in place.
That's right. My Retire Right advisors, they do this every day. They sit down and consult folks on how they improve their retirement, how they'll give them the peace of mind that they need to live out the rest of their lifetime. And I tell you, for the next 15 callers that call within the next 15 minutes, we're going to give away that complete all-star advisor consultation, no cost, no obligation. Here's what you can expect. Come in, sit down with one of our all-star advisors. They're going to help you figure out what they need to do to help you retire right. They're going to address what the fees and commissions or cost of your current investments are. What does your taxation look like? Can we reduce or minimize that? How do we build a long-term income plan that's sustainable? How do we take care of these long-term care needs and inheritance planning and estate planning? As Ms. Cynthia said earlier, and we keep talking about, all the pieces of the puzzle. There are a lot of pieces of this puzzle. How do you bring them all together to create a clear and beautiful picture? Our all-star advisors do that all day, every day, and they can help you and your family do it too. So give us a call, come sit down with them for a consultation. Let's see if we can help bring a lot of value to your life. 228-388-2031. Give us a call today.
Paul, and I'm watching you say that, and I'm watching the phone lines light up at the same time. I love that. So again, to the viewers at home, that number to call is 228-388-2031. We know you're so excited about this opportunity. So again, we've added an additional phone line this week for your convenience. The number to call once again is 228-388-2031. We have to take a very short commercial break, but when I come back, I'm going to have some more questions for Paul about how to plan your perfect retirement. You're not going to want to miss his answers. Please stay tuned.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
Welcome back to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. And Paul is President and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, a great first segment of the show, and I love when we're talking about the different components of a retirement plan and just putting it all together for people. So we may have some members in the viewing audience today that are maybe wondering, what is the difference between a pension and a 401k? Can you shed some light on that, please?
I would love to, Cynthia. And yes, thank you. And thank you for reeling me in. You know, sometimes we got to reel ourselves in because it happens to everyone in every industry. When you deal with all of this stuff, especially the complex financial world, all day, every day, you find yourself, what happens is you start assuming it's normal, everyday knowledge to other folks.
Right,
and so sometimes you just talk and use terminology and things, and people don't know exactly what you're talking about. So we got to back up and give them the fundamentals sometimes, right? So
yeah.
Today, what's the difference in a 401k and a pension? First off, I would tell you that personally, I feel, my personal opinion, is that I would much prefer to have a pension than a 401k, right? And the reason being is because if you look back in time, you know, our grandfathers or our great-grandfathers, man, they had it made pretty well, right?
Sure.
You know how much went into their retirement planning? They, like I tell clients all the time, all they had to do was walk in the HR department of their job and say, how much pension do I receive at what age?
And
how much? Then they had to say, hun, we need $6,000 a month. I've got $3,000 coming from Social Security, $3,000 from the pension. At this day, we're good. And that was as complex as their planning got. You know, generations today, I think, are a little envious of that and wish we had that back today, right? That peace of mind, that security of knowing, hey, just go and retire and enjoy, the paychecks are coming. Today we live in what we call a do-it-yourself retirement world. The companies aren't taking care of us or doing it for us anymore. Those pensions and that security that people had in the past is gone. And so today, what the pension does is they put money away in a fund for you, the company, but when you retire, they're going to pay it out to you in the form of a pension payment, so income the rest of your life. The benefit to that pension is that income is the rest of your life, and it's guaranteed the rest of your life. So it doesn't matter what's happening in the stock market or the bond market or what's economically happening or business cycles, the paycheck's coming in. So people have a lot of confidence there, right? The 401k is the do-it-yourself retirement world where there's no guarantee of how much money is going to be there. There's no guarantee of how much income is going to be there. There's no guarantee that you'll be able to provide income the rest of your life out of that. Most people are on their own. They don't even know what to do with their 401k. That's why we call it do-it-yourself retirement world today. They say, what do I do? Well, here's the 401k. What do I do with it? Put money in it. Okay, how much? However much you want.
I don't know. It's up to you.
Well, what do I do there? Choose some investments. Well, which investments? Whichever one you want to choose.
Whatever you want to do.
Well, how much money do I need to save? However much you want. People are just out there with no direction, lost on their own today, trying to figure all this out in this do-it-yourself 401k world. And
so true, Paul.
I think the time of pensions was a great time in the past. And I think a lot of people in America would love it if they would come back.
Can we go back, Paul?
We can. We can.
Back in time. Because so many things were so much simpler then, right?
It was beautiful. You know, people are overwhelmed today. People come to our events and our workshops and all these things today, and we always open events telling them that, you know, hey, our great-grandfathers didn't have to do all this. They didn't have to go to the internet and search and figure out all these complex scenarios. It wasn't all these decisions, and they weren't left on their own to do it. But that matters because, yes, can we go back and do that? Yes, because we do it for clients every day. The difference is we don't have these pensions anymore today, but that's why proper retirement planning all starts with income planning. Let's secure that income so you have the peace of mind that our grandfathers had.
Yes.
Okay, you don't have to wake up every day and worry about what the president's saying, or what the president of this country's saying, or if a pandemic's coming out, or whatever else type of turmoil is going to happen on the global scale to cause market friction or corrections. You don't have to worry about that. You have the peace of mind.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter. Money's coming in.
Well, what's great about that, Paul, is that when you have a well-designed, well-crafted plan, you're responsible for paying yourself, if you will. You're creating your own paycheck because you've worked for a company for so many years, you've retired, those checks are no longer coming in, so you become responsible for funding your retirement, and that's what a retirement plan can do.
Yeah, and just like you said, it's a big transition. It's a big perception change for people because they've, like you said, had an employer or other people who have compensated them all their life, and now they have to flip shoes. They have to put themselves back in. Now you're your own boss.
Yeah.
You're responsible for yourself. You can go out and you can blow it and make a bunch of mistakes and suffer the consequences later, or you can take the bull by the horns, get responsible, get proactive, and say, all right, now I'm going to figure this thing out, and I'm going to really sit down with a good advisory group and plan out the rest of my life and know I got something to depend on.
Absolutely. Well, I know we've talked about in the past guaranteed income streams, which is going to actually come to my next question for you, Paul, if you will. English is what I'm trying to say. Let's go with the English version.
A little bit of English?
Yeah, I'm going to try the English
Okay.
this time. Social Security, in your opinion, I know that it's one guaranteed stream that people have coming in for retirement. Is Social Security going to go away? Because we're hearing a lot of conversation about that. What is your opinion?
I don't, well, you definitely don't ever want to predict the future, and especially when it involves politicians, and especially today, right?
Right.
But I don't feel that Social Security will go away. But we know that they have funding problems right now.
Sure.
We know they're going to be severely underfunded within the next 10 years. And we also know that by the year 2030, 2033, somewhere in that range, they're only going to have 75 cents to pay out for every 75 cents coming in for every dollar worth of benefits they have to pay out. So yeah, there's going to come a time when there's a shortfall.
Okay.
I think for people planning for Social Security today, I'm not one of those gloom and doom people who tell you, oh, it's going to end up, you're going to be, Social Security is going to go away and you're in trouble. I don't think that will occur.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people are not doing themselves a justice if they're not looking at Social Security and put strategies in place around it. So here are the strategies and what we see coming. We're concerned not that they're going to take it away, but they're supposed to give you a cost of living adjustment every year to offset inflation, right, and the rising cost of goods. Well, if the system's broke and it's unsustainable, and we know they're in that position in the next 10 years, what is the likelihood that they're going to keep giving you a cost of living adjustment or a raise every year in retirement?
Sure.
So it's not that they're just going to come cut your checks out, but I think where a lot of people are going to be caught off guard is they're not expecting that inflation's going to start setting in our economy a lot more rapidly over the next 10 years. Their Social Security benefit is not going to increase with inflation, and their purchasing power is going to severely dwindle. It's going to create a future income gap in their household.
Okay.
And so all of our clients, we know that. We're looking down the road 10 and 20 years and saying, sooner or later, we will have a household shortfall of income due to Social Security not keeping up with inflation. So we're taking some of our savings, our retirement savings, we're carving that portion out, setting it over here in a reserve account and saying, this is my backup strategy. I've got this money here, so slowly as I go forward, as my purchasing power dwindles from inflation, that's okay. I'll go back and I'll turn on this bucket of money, tap that resource, and we'll keep our same standard of living.
Okay.
The whole question, I guess, Cynthia, for our viewers is just, are you having these discussions?
Yeah.
Have all these
absolutely.
discussions arose with whoever you seek advice from? Have you
Yeah.
put these plans in place? Or when do you think is a good time to start putting these strategies in place? Do you want to wait for it to all happen, or do you want to start looking down the road 10 years ahead of us time and start positioning yourself where you should be at that time?
Absolutely. Well, Paul, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines. I'll go ahead and tell the viewers what they can receive. I'll give you a break from talking. To the viewers at home, the number to call is 228-388-2031. Again, Paul is offering you the opportunity to come in for a complimentary consultation. This offer is available to the next 10 callers. Allow him to take a look at what you currently have in place, or a member of his team. One of them will take a look at what you currently have in place and make sure that it's a plan that can weather any storm. Retirement should not be a time where you're feeling apprehensive or scared or nervous. You should have a plan in place that will allow you to sleep comfortably at night. And if you currently have a plan in place, why not have a second opinion? It never hurts to have a second look from a fresh set of eyes. Again, that number to call is 228-388-2031. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break with more questions and answers for Paul about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Retire Right TV. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Paul Roberts. And Paul is president and CEO of Roberts Wealth Management. Paul, a great show that we're having. And I want to just come back and kind of talk a little bit about what I said when we went to the commercial break about having a second opinion with a fresh set of eyes. Let's talk about that for a moment. Do you believe that that's an important step that someone should take, and why?
Yeah, I mean, a second opinion is definitely very vital and very important, right? You know, I tell a lot of clients, actually at a lot of our workshops and events, when we start talking about second opinions, sometimes I'll tell people a little personal story, but my oldest daughter, you know, I was a very young father when she come along, and the whole time through her pregnancy, we were being told by the doctors we were going to have a Down syndrome baby. I was a 20-year-old young man trying to grips with reality of being a father, much less health conditions with the child, you know.
Sure.
And ended up, long story short, she was born. She came out fine and healthy. We were very fortunate. But one of her kidneys wasn't functioning properly.
Okay.
And so we ended up going back and forth to a hospital. I'm not going to name any because I don't want to offend anybody, but a hospital out of town we were utilizing. I was going over there every day and driving back and forth at least 3 times a week, having all of her status checked for about 6 months. And I was working myself to death and running too much and sleeping in hospital rooms, and exhaustion was hitting me. And one day the doctor was talking to me in a consultation. I fell asleep while he was talking to me. So he said, "Son, you need to go home and rest yourself. You're wearing yourself out." I said, well, there's a pretty good reason to do that, right? And he said, "No." He said, "Look, you're coming over here too much. This is too much on you. I want you to go home for the next 3 weeks to a month. I don't want you to come back. I want you to rest yourself." To me, it sounded great. So I got in the car with her. We started driving home, and it set in on me, wait, I've needed to check and consult on her every, 2 to 3 times a week for the last 6 months, and now all of a sudden I can just take a month off? That doesn't sound like good advice.
Yeah.
So I kept driving right past Biloxi down I-10, and I went straight to Tulane University in New Orleans and took her in. Doctor got her in, they saw her. They came back out and they said, "Where are your bags?" And I said, what bags? And they said, your travel bags. Why would I need bags? They said, oh, well, because we got to get you a room. Well, no, I just wanted you to check my daughter. He said, oh, she can't leave. Her kidney's about to rupture and she won't live through the night if she leaves.
Oh my
Okay?
gosh.
So if I had not had that intuition that day, or had that feeling in my heart that I needed a second opinion, my daughter would not have made it through the night that night.
Paul, that was God's
So,
hand
it
in
is
your
God's
life.
hand. And
150%.
God's hand comes in a lot.
Absolutely.
But your retirement is your life.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. It's no different, right?
Yeah.
This is your health. This is your retirement. Your retirement is your health, and it's going to dictate your
Yeah.
health
Yeah.
and have effects on it going forward. So definitely take the time to get a second opinion. Make sure you're on track. Make sure you have the right people in your corner and the right people supporting you. And I got to tell the viewers, we're really good at second opinions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason we're good at second opinions is because we don't give you our personal opinion. Generally on a second opinion interview or consultation, what we'll do is we'll get the full their portfolio, we'll get a full analytics done on it by Morningstar. Well, Morningstar is a rating agency. Okay, they don't have any game in it. They don't have any bias. They're third party, they're non-biased. So they're going to simply give us a factual report that just states what type of performance you've had, whether it was good or bad or lacking, what your risk numbers look like, what the cost and the fees are. The most eye-opening thing we do for folks is when we do this analysis, it brings to the surface all those underlying and buried fees they're unaware of in their portfolio.
Sure.
And they really become empowered for the first time. They really know what it's costing them to work with their advisor.
Yeah.
And then we see if we can help them. If we can improve the situation, we'll let them know.
Yeah.
If not, then we'll let them know that we can improve the situation, that they're on track and they're doing just fine. But everybody should get a second opinion. I can't stress it. And I wouldn't have my lovely daughter today if I hadn't gotten a second opinion. So everyone out there needs to always get a second opinion for any important life decisions, right?
Absolutely, Paul. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so very true. And I'm glad that we talked about the second opinion for just a multitude of reasons now. And I'm trying not to tear up, but thank you for sharing that with us. We are winding down on time in the show, and I can't believe it because every time we're together, the time just flies by so quickly. So with only a minute left in the show, can you tell the viewers what they can expect to receive by being one of your callers today?
Yes, you're going to get an opportunity to come sit down with one of our Retire Right All-Star advisors. What you're going to find is they're some of the most passionate, caring people you're ever going to meet in the industry. They're going to make sure that they figure out how to help you get to and through retirement and how to do it right. They do this all day, every day. There's a lot that goes into the process, but all they need is for you to show up for the consultation and be open to communicate with them, and they will guide you down your journey of retiring right. So give us a call today at 228-388-2031 and let us become your guides on your journey to retirement. We've got a great group of people who love doing what they do. They're passionate and they can help you too.
Paul, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, once again, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 228-388-2031. Thank you for spending time with us again this week. We hope you have a great week ahead. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. Take care.